So. Heaven-trampling elephant. Suppress. Roared Su Jingxing. He began to visualize the heaven-trampling elephant in his mind. Pull. As soon as the majestic and wild heaven-trampling elephant appeared in his sea of consciousness, it threw its head back and roared. The resonant cry of an elephant shook the space within his consciousness, causing it to shake violently. The will that was drilling into the depths of his consciousness was immediately crushed. Roar. The black horned dragon seemed to sense a threat. With a snarl, it pounced at the heaven-trampling elephant. Pull. The heaven-trampling elephant soared into the air, its trunk sweeping out with terrifying might. Paw. The Sisui horned dragon was sent flying. Boom. Before the Sisui horned dragons could react, the heaven-trampling elephant took a step forward in the air and dashed forward. Its massive feet stepped on the Sisui horned dragons, preventing it from escaping. Roar. The Sisui horned dragons roared angrily. It twisted its body and wrapped itself around the front limb of the heaven-trampling elephant. Then, it unleashed a terrifying wave of will power that washed towards the body of the heaven-trampling elephant. Pull. Not to be outdone, the heaven-trampling elephant unleashed a shockwave as a counter. The dragon and the elephant unleashed their will and soul powers to clash with one another. Neither of them could do anything to the other, and the stalemate continued. Su Jingxing, who was controlling the heaven-trampling elephant, took the opportunity to exhale. Even though maintaining the suppression by the heaven-trampling elephant was very taxing, at least he wouldn't have to passively fuse with the Sisui horned dragon. As for the energy expenditure, he could replenish it with essence energy pills. Su Jingxing didn't have much, but he had plenty of essence energy pills and strength pills. Still not strong enough. If my soul power can be boosted once more, I'll be able to completely suppress the Sisui horned dragon with the heaven-trampling elephant. Now, they were evenly matched, and neither could do anything to the other. However, if his soul power continued to increase, and the heaven-trampling elephant also became stronger, he could totally suppress the Sisui horned dragons and take control of this martial art true intent from Lu Chenglong for his own use. For now, the only thing he could do was stall for time. When he first saw the demonic heaven-trampling elephant diagram, it was recorded that a demonic heaven-trampling elephant diagram that was visualized could suppress everything, including martial art true intent. Su Jingxing doubted that. After this encounter, Su Jingxing believed it. The heaven-trampling elephant could really suppress martial art true intent. Had it not been for the fact that the Sisui horned dragons had been tempered and strengthened by Lu Chenglong for an unknown period of time when he was alive. Had it been an ordinary third-grade martial artist's martial art true intent, the heaven-trampling elephant could directly crushed it. I still have to increase my soul power, murmured Su Jingxing. He produced 2 essence energy pills and popped them into his mouth. Even though it was said to increase one's soul power, it was most troublesome to increase one's soul power. For the time being, Su Jingxing wouldn't be able to realize it. The soul acuity fruit tree had to wait until it bloomed, bore fruit, and ripened again. As for requiem cards that gave spirit accumulation pills, their chances of extracting them were pathetically low. In the past few months, Su Jingxing hadn't been able to extract any more. After much thought, he decided that he would have to use essence energy pills to maintain the stalemate. He popped 2 more essence energy pills into his mouth. Steadying himself, Su Jingxing took out the other light orb that exuded a strong aura of worldly energy. After careful sensing, he confirmed that this light orb was purely formed using worldly energy. Circulating the 9 steps trampling heaven, Su Jingxing wrapped his true energy around the light orb and began absorbing it into his dantian, converting it into heaven-trampling true energy. Strictly speaking, such a pure light orb could also be considered a heavenly treasure. It was rare. Lu Chenglong had set up an energy-gathering array formation in the mausoleum to preserve his physical body and martial art true intent. In the end, after more than 400 years, an energy orb was also produced. Had it been any other martial artist, this energy orb would most likely have been used elsewhere. Su Jingxing was different, he absorbed it directly. The domineering nature of the 9 steps trampling heaven allowed a physical body at the limits of the human body to be unafraid of the stimulation and expansion of one's body when absorbing energy. Of course, he had to expend half of his attention while doing so to maintain the suppression of the heaven-trampling elephant. Before he completely suppressed the Sisui horned dragon, Su Jingxing had to multitask. The efficiency of absorption with only half of his attention was naturally greatly reduced. He spent a total of 3 full days without sleep, food, or water. He used up more than 40 essence energy pills before he finished absorbing the energy orb. At that moment, half of the heaven-trampling true energy in Su Jingxing's dantian had already turned into liquid. True energy turns into liquid, a 4th-grade martial artist. With the help of the pure energy orb, Su Jingxing finally reached the 4th grade. And just as how he reached the 5th grade, it was an automatic breakthrough. As for his true energy cultivation, half of Su Jingxing's attention was focused on his dantian. He carefully sensed this heaven-trampling true energy which was in a semi-liquid and semi-mist state. Moments later, he came up with a rough number. 820 years. In any case, his cultivation had exceeded 800 years. More than 800 years of cultivation. The comers of Su Jingxing's lips tugged up. Putting aside the martial art true intent of the Sisui horned dragons for now, he had finally reaped some benefits from this trip to the mausoleum of Prince Qin. His cultivation had increased by more than 300 years all of a sudden, and he had successfully advanced to the 4th grade. At the 4th grade, true energy turned into liquid and could be used to nourish the spirit. In other words, using the half of his true fluid, Su Jingxing could nourish his spirit and strengthen his soul. Without consuming spirit accumulation pills or the concentration fruit, he could increase his soul power on his own. This was an unexpected surprise. Circulating the 9 steps trampling heaven, Su Jingxing tried to use the true fluid to nourish his spirit. Moments later, he discovered that his soul power had increased slightly. He did some calculations and concluded that, without the aid of external items, the heaven-trampling elephant could completely suppress the Sisui horned dragon within 1.5 months at least and half a year at most. Having confirmed this, Su Jingxing let out a breath, his face lighting up with joy. It wasn't easy to multitask. It would naturally be a good thing if he could get rid of the problem of the Sisui horned dragon as soon as possible. Once completely suppressed, Su Jingxing would be able to control the martial art true intent of the Sisui horned dragon. In the realm of the 4th grade with capabilities of a 3rd grade martial artist. The next time he used the alias Jiang Zia, he wouldn't have to worry about being exposed anymore. Half a month to go. Su Jingxing slowed his breathing and clenched his fists. After a while, he regained his composure. After 3 days and nights of not moving, he immediately got up and went to the kitchen to get some food to fill his stomach. Then, he went to the bathroom to wash up and change into a fresh set of clothes. Su Jingxing opened the door and windows. Sitting in the courtyard, he took out the card he had extracted from the mausoleum of Prince Qin. The card came from the 100-year Great Return remains. Excited, Su Jingxing held the card and read its description. The next instant, his pupils dilated. His lips curled up uncontrollably, unable to conceal the joy on his face. Ha ha ha. What goes around comes around. It's finally my turn today. Su Jingxing laughed out loud. He had extracted so many function cards and amongst them were also many special ones. For example, the Life Extension card, Invisibility card, Regeneration card. These cards each had their own unique features. However, once this card appeared today, all the previous cards would have to give way. Comment. Transcendent Body card. The card he had extracted from Lu Chenglong's corpse was actually a transcendent body card. As the name suggested, it was a functional card that could change one's physique to break the limits of ordinary human bodies, and undergo a perfect transformation. As long as he unlocked it, Su Jingxing would immediately become a transcendent body martial artist. Transcendent body martial artists, bloodline martial artists. These two special types of martial artists were several times stronger than ordinary martial artists. Every martial artist had their own unique ability. Take for example, the Golden Chin family. Once their bloodline power was triggered, their various attributes would increase several-fold. Su Jingxing had never encountered a transcendent body martial artists before, but he had some understanding of them. It was a type of powerful martial artist who leaned towards physical constitution. The physique they possessed were impervious to fire and water, unrestricted in the absorption of worldly energy, either with the strength of Hercules, or tough as steel. Presently, the transcendent body card in Su Jingxing's hand had defensive capabilities. An invincible defense. Skin, flesh, bones, tendons, blood, and organs, they all possessed terrifying defensive capabilities. Furthermore, he could undergo 9 transformations. It was unclear what level he would reach after completing 9 transformations. As the transcendent body card would only give him the energy required for the first transformation, Su Jingxing had to slowly figure out the remaining 8 times by himself. Even so, Su Jingxing was overjoyed. He quickly got up, went back into the house, and unlocked the transcendent body card. Swoosh! A burst of golden light enveloped Su Jingxing's entire body. Magical, powerful, and surging energy invaded his body, but there was no heart-wrenching pain or a numb burning sensation. It was as if he was soaking in a hot spring. It was warm and comfortable. Every organ and cell in his body had undergone a qualitative change. When all the sensations were gone and the golden light dissipated, Su Jingxing opened his eyes and carefully sensed the changes in his body. Strength. A powerful strength had now appeared in his body. He had easily broken through the limits of the human body, and his current strength had exceeded 100,000 caddies. As for the exact amount, it had to be verified. However, Su Jingxing was confident that it had exceeded 200,000 caddies. Which means, at the very least, it had doubled. In addition, his skin seemed to have become tougher, and his eyes seemed to have been enhanced as well. With a thought. Whoosh! A hazy golden light emerged from his body. Characteristics of a transcendent body's activation. Su Jingxing raised his hands and bumped his arms with each other. Clang! Clang! The sound of metal clashing against metal rang out. Given this toughness, even a treasure weapon wouldn't be able to break through it. Su Jingxing was in awe. Then, he decisively took out his treasure saber from his palm space and slid it across his hand. Swish! Swish! The blade rubbed against his arm, but left no traces. He exerted a little force, but there was nothing, not even a white mark. He continued to exert force and slashed at it, but there was no mark. He added a slash enhanced by true energy, a white mark appeared with a clang, but it quickly disappeared. Su Jingxing didn't continue. That was enough. After some experimentation, he came to a general conclusion. Once his transcendent body was activated, ordinary treasure weapons would not be able to break through his physical defense. Even with true energy, if the destructive power of the martial art was lacking, it would still be impossible to breach his defense. And this was only the result of his first transformation. If he transformed a few more times, what level of defense would he reach? Su Jingxing took a deep breath to compose himself. After stopping the circulation and returning to his normal state, Su Jingxing tried to train himself to see how he could transform a second time. The test lasted all night. In the end, Su Jingxing succeeded. Increase his strength and temper his physique. In other words, consume strength pills. As long as he kept consuming strength pills, he could undergo a second, third, and 9th transformation. Of course, he wasn't sure how many strength pills he would need to consume for each transformation. Su Jingxing was not in a hurry. It was as he always said, he had strength pills and essence energy pills in great abundance. He replenished these two items daily. For that, Su Jingxing was more than relieved. He made some food for breakfast and popped 2 essence energy pills into his mouth on the way to the crematorium. Multitasking, he began a new day. Having not been to the crematorium for a few days, Su Jingxing noticed that everyone he ran into was full of joy as soon as he stepped through the gate. The crematorium that was usually lively was very quiet today as well. It seemed like there weren't many corpses to incinerate. On the way to his office, Su Jingxing bumped into Kong de Bao and asked curiously what had happened. And it turned out. "We're celebrating the new year tomorrow, so of course everyone's happy," said Kong de Bao, grinning from ear to ear. "It's the new year period, and the troublemakers have lessened and so have the number of corpses." Say, Su Jingxing was enlightened. The new year was here. It had been half a year since Su Jingxing transmigrated. A new year was coming, no wonder everyone seemed so joyful. "Happy New Year to you, Captain Little Su," Kong de Bao greeted, cupping his fists and grinning. "Happy New Year to you too, Big Brother de Bao," Su Jingxing returned the greeting with a smile. "I remember you're on your own, aren't you? If you don't mind, how about coming over to my place tomorrow night?" Kong de Bao extended an invitation. Of course not," answered Gu Bo, walking over from a short distance away. "If he's going anywhere, it'll be my place. Duo has been calling out to me since a long time ago that she wants to spend the new year with brother Xiaoxing. So, de Bao, you should go play somewhere else." F***ck. Kong de Bao's act failed. He rolled his eyes at Gu Bo irritably and said disdainfully, "Team leader Gu, what you did wasn't right. I was the one who invited him first. Way in advance, I'd already told Little Su." "Who are you kidding?" retorted Gu Bo bluntly. "Little Su didn't come to the crematorium for the past few days. Who the hell did you invite then? Can't be bothered to argue with you." Kong de Bao pursed his lips and smiled at Su Jingxing. "Captain Little Su, my house will be the liveliest tomorrow night. If you go, said Gu Bo, nudging him. "Who allowed you to come out and play during work hours? Damn, team leader Gu, can you not be so shameless? I just got off work, okay? Even if you're using your position to get even for a private grudge, that's now how do it." With that, he broke into a run. When he was far away, he threw Gu Bo another disdainful look. The sight had the corner of Gu Bo's lips twitching. Ignoring him, he offered an invitation to Su Jingxing again. "I'm serious, Little Su. You must come to my place tomorrow night," said Gu Bo seriously. Duo said that if you don't come, she'll kick me out of the house too." "Haha." Su Jingxing burst out laughing. "All right, I'll definitely be there tomorrow night." "That's more like it." Gu Bo was grinning from ear to ear. Duo has been missing you." "I miss her too," said Su Jingxing, nodding with a smile. The little girl and himself were indeed quite fated. This was also the reason why he agreed to spend the new year at Gu Bo's house. Even though the new year was coming tomorrow night, the crematorium was still operating with people on duty. Of course, Su Jingxing had no say in the matter. After spending the morning in his office and having lunch, he got ready to go home. Gu Bo suddenly came knocking on his door and asked if he was free to take on a field mission. Su Jingxing agreed readily. Field missions were his favorite. At the crematorium, most of the cards extracted were repeated. Only by going on field missions could he possibly encounter all kinds of situations and extract special cards. This time, Gu Bo's mission was to head to a ranch town that was 20 kilometers north of Qinghe City. The two of them got on the corpse transportation truck and headed straight for their destination with Gu Bo driving. When they arrived at the town, they were greeted at the entrance. The corpse transportation truck was led to a small building. The deceased are a family of 3. The cause of death was a type of poisonous mushroom. The team leader of the public security team of the town, Zhang Xiaoyuan, shared. Beside him were the head of the ranch, doctors, and other personnel. Gu Bo listened as he took down the information. This was a necessary process, taking down the identity of the deceased, the cause of death, and even photographs. Su Jingxing checked the information at the side. After the doctor examined the toxins, he noted down what kind of poisonous mushrooms they were. He checked everything and they all matched. In other words, there was no conspiracy in this case. Still, just in case, Su Jingxing activated his secret ability, advanced hearing, and listened to his surroundings. To his surprise. Do you see that? The corpse collection team is here. When they transport the corpses away, they'll be reduced to ashes latest by this evening. By then, the incident will be resolved completely. No. Then what are you afraid of? We've been preparing for this for so long, and there's no turning back. Tonight is our best chance. But. No buts. Remember, they forced us to do this. Do you think I would have agreed to carry out the plan if that phone guy hadn't gone into hiding? Don't forget that you were the one who came up with this solution to replace that phone fellow at the very beginning. It's too late for you to regret or be afraid now. What, you got nothing to say now? Shut up if you have nothing to say. Don't mess up the morale of the troops. Nothing must go wrong with tonight's operation. Understood. By the way, there are experts in this town. The general of the prefecture army, Chu Weiliang, lives in town. He came back 2 days ago. It's fine. I'll take care of Chu Weiliang. You guys just have to take care of your tasks. Alright, I have no other problems. No problem my A**s. In order to avoid missing out on anything, Secret Ability had subconsciously activated his secret ability. In the end, he ended up overhearing a conspiracy. The 2 men who were talking were less than 100 meters away from Su Jingxing. The 2 of them had lowered their voices, and the average person would have thought that they were talking about an ordinary murder even if they overheard them. However, Su Jingxing snapped out of his daze when he heard 3 words. He immediately thought of their identities. That Feng guy. Feng Taijian. The 2 of them were 99% referring to Feng Taijian. Since it was Feng Taijian, the identities of the 2 people were obvious. The He family. The He family, who have been hiding behind the scenes, is plotting a conspiracy. The conspiracy is targeted at the residents of Ranch Town. What are they up to? Replace Feng Taijian with someone from the town? If so, how would that be done? Kill someone to extract their blood? Or to extract their bones? If that is true, how many people would they have to kill? Dozens, hundreds, or even the entire town? At the thought of this, Su Jingxing's expression did not change, but anger bubbled up from the bottom of his heart. All of these people who think nothing of other humans must die. Kill. 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 If I manage to kill all of them, there will be peace and quiet. Kill them all. Wait. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. What powerful killing intent. Although Su Jingxing was in contempt of the He family's schemes and had decided to intervene, this sudden surge of killing intent alarmed him. It wasn't like he had never encountered such a situation before, but there was never once where he was filled with killing intent and viciousness like this. What is going on? Why am I like this? Was I affected by the martial art true intent of the Sisui Horned Dragon? Su Jingxing pondered. The Sisui Horned Dragon is being suppressed by the Heaven Trampling Elephant. They are evenly matched and are in a deadlock. Logically speaking, it shouldn't affect. Wait. Su Jingxing suddenly realized something. I understand now. It's not the Sisui Horned Dragon, but the Soul Oath. The deal I made with Lu Chenglong was to protect the citizens of the U Nation. The He family's conspiracy targeted at the residents of Ranch Town triggered the oath, and that's how I was alerted. From this guess, it's clear that the He family is targeting a significant number of people. With fewer people, the oath wouldn't even be triggered. What a coincidence. Su Jingxing thought inwardly. Protect the Yu nation for 10 years. This soul oath is indeed effective. Even though he was enlightened, his face remained impassive. After completing the documentation work with Gu Bo, the two of them moved the corpses into the back of the truck. Gu Bo was still the driver as they returned to Qinghe City. Gu Bo had wanted to get Su Jingxing to drive, but Su Jingxing tuned him down. Since he was multitasking, he decided against it. The corpse transportation truck left the town and traveled on the road. As they passed by a grassy area with a turn, Su Jingxing saw a few familiar faces. Xiong Qifan, Yu Qi, and Lu Hao from the Green Cloud Court. Do these three people also live in Ranch Town? Su Jingxing took a few glances from afar, then looked away and pondered. The general of the prefecture army, Chu Weiliang, was a 4th-grade martial artist. Xiong Qifan, Yu Qi, and Lu Hao were all in the 5th grade while Yu Qi was in the 4th grade. If the He family wanted to stir up trouble in Ranch Town, the two 4th grades martial artists should be able to fend them off. With this in mind, Su Jingxing's worries eased considerably. Otherwise, by the time returned to the crematorium with the truck and found an opportunity returned to small courtyard at the foot of the mountain before flying here. With the delay, the situation in Ranch Town could get very serious. After all, no one could guarantee that the He family wouldn't carry out their plan in advance. Was that a corpse transportation truck earlier? Asked Lu Hao curiously as he watched the truck disappear around the corner. It's a corpse transportation truck. Xiong Qifan nodded. There are casualties in town. It's normal for a corpse transportation truck to come pick up the corpses. Is that so? How did they die? Asked Lu Hao, curious. People don't usually die in functional towns like this, do they? It's indeed rare. Answered Xiong Qifan. As for the deceased this time, I heard they died from eating poisonous mushrooms. Poisonous mushrooms? Really? Lu Hao was wide-eyed. It's understandable that kids don't recognize them, but how could adults not? What's so strange about that? There are some mushrooms and wild fruits that even I wouldn't be able to recognize. Said Yu Qj irritably. What? No way. Lu Hao gave a dry laugh. Then, remembering something, he asked, by the way, there shouldn't be any mushrooms growing in this area, right? Why would poisonous mushrooms appear? Yes, no. Plus. At first, Xiong Qifan was certain, but then quickly denied it. There weren't any in the past, but I think they do grow here now. On the northwest side of town, there's a small hill. A number of trees have been transplanted there in the second half of the year. If someone planted mushrooms, they would been ready. As for picking poisonous mushrooms, I guess it was an accident. Said Xiong Qifan uncertainly. Isn't that a great grievance? Lamented Lu Hao. There's nothing we can do about it. We can only blame their bad luck, said Yu Qi softly. Forget it, let's not talk about this. We should think about how to find the flying lion ring. Xiong Qifan changed the topic. How? There's no clue at all, sighed Lu Hao. Half of the flying lion ring is already in someone's hands. Even if we find the other half, we won't be able to awaken the flying lion army, said Yu Qi in a low voice. We still have to search, said Xiong Qifan in a deep voice. Even if we find only half of it, we can still build a connection with the prefecture army. I know Commander Gu, he values credibility. That's what we say, but we don't have any leads. Where are we going to find it? Asked Lu Hao, spreading his hands. After a brief silence, Xiong Qifan sighed. There must be a way. Someone has already opened the mausoleum of Prince Qin and taken away the treasure. TT's all up to Flying Lion Army now. By the way, do you guys think the other half of the Flying Lion ring could be in Mausoleum of Prince Qin? This. Lu Hao and Yu Qi were taken aback. I don't think so, said Lu Hao, mulling it over. Didn't we already analyze the situation the last time? The Flying Lion Army left a Flying Lion ring as a measure of precaution if it was inside Mausoleum of Prince Qin, and no one opened it. If something unexpected happened, wouldn't it be impossible for them to leave their corpses intact? Little Lu is right. The Flying Lion ring will only be kept outside. Yu Qi chimed in. I've asked around. The half of the Flying Lion ring that was taken away from an ordinary person. The Flying Lion ring was a treasure passed down from his ancestors. And so, it's highly likely that the other half of the Flying Lion ring was also passed down generation after generation as a family heirloom. The most important thing now is to find this person. Lu Hao opened his mouth, he was at a loss for words. Like I said, where can we start without any leads? There are no records of the Flying Lion ring on the internet, much less any relevant information about the people keeping it. Xiong Qifan remained silent. Yu Qi fell into deep thought. Finding out the whereabouts of the Flying Lion ring without any relevant information was no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. The odds of them using this to establish ties with the prefecture army were too slim. Never mind. After a long while, Xiong Qifan sighed. Let's not think about that for now. It's time for New Year celebrations already. Let's talk about finding the Flying Lion ring after that. Come, let's go back inside. With that, Xiong Qifan walked down the road towards the town. Yu Qi and Lu Hao followed suit. The trio was here because Xiong Qifan's hometown was here. On the other hand, Yu Qi and Lu Hao had no relatives in the world. After Xiong Qifan's repeated invitations, they decided to come to his house to celebrate the new year. As a part of the middle ranks in the Green Cloud Court, Xiong Qifan owned a large residence in Qinghe City. However, his parents preferred to stay in the town. Xiong Qifan had no choice but to follow them here. Together with his wife, his daughter and his son, they were a large family. Holidays were usually lively to begin with. This year, the addition of Yu Qi and Lu Hao made things even more festive. Night fell. In Xiong Qifan's small courtyard, the house was brightly lit. Red lanterns were hung at the four corners of the courtyard. Red lanterns were present in all the other households in the town. Tens of thousands of lanterns were gathered together. From a distance, the scenery was particularly enchanting. Laughter and noise filled every house. Come, come, let's have a toast, shouted Xiong Qifan, raising his glass. Cheers. The entire family clinked glasses and enjoyed their drinks. Then, they chatted as they ate. At home, Xiong Qifan and the rest did not talk about the matters of Green Cloud Court or martial arts. Instead, they gossiped and complained like ordinary people. Meanwhile, Lu Hao and Xiong Qifan's son, who was in junior high school, were chatting happily about games. They quickly left the table to go into the room, switched on the computer to PK. Xiong Qifan did not restrict them since it was a festive occasion. In short, everyone had their own activities inside and outside the house. Until... Help! Help! Murder! Murder! A shriek suddenly tore through the night sky and reverberated through the town. Something is up. Xiong Qifan and Yu Qi were chatting away when their expressions changed. They quickly jumped to their feet. Circulating their true energy, the alcohol in their bodies was quickly expelled. Old Xiong, stay at home with the little Lu. I'll going to see what happened, said Yu Qi before Xiong Qifan could. All right. Xiong Qifan opened his mouth, then nodded. Then, he looked at his panicking parents, wife, and daughter. Don't worry, I'm here, nothing will happen. Although his wife was also a martial artist, she was only at the 9th grade and nowhere near the 8th grade. Hearing this, she suggested, "Why don't we go to the basement?" "I think that's a good idea." Yu Qi agreed. Old Xiong, for safety's sake, let uncle and the rest go to the basement. "I'll make a move first." With that, he quickly opened the door and dashed into the night sky. "Then let's go to the basement." Xiong Qifan was decisive. He immediately made up his mind. "Don't bring anything with you. Move to the basement immediately. Little Lu, little rascal, get out here." Xiong Qifan ran into the room and called out the two gamers. The whole family quickly entered the basement. Every household in a functional town had a basement as a refuge shelter. For this, the entrances to the basement were all made of alloy, and were extremely thick. It was impossible to break through them without decades of cultivation. By hiding in the basement, they could avoid most of the threats. Xiong Qifan had wanted to settle his family down and go out to check on the situation. However, his younger daughter insisted on keeping him, so he had no choice but to stay in the basement. Boom! A loud bang resounded through the air. A building was brutally rammed through by a terrifying force, causing its walls to collapse. Swish! 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 Amidst the debris, a dark figure darted and leaped, bringing with it sharp claws. The night wind was torn apart, producing a mournful cry. Whoosh! Yu Qi's body flickered. His body was enveloped in true energy, and his palms shone brightly. Bam! Bam! A loud explosion erupted in the air as two palm imprints streaked through the air, one after another, coming from two directions. They charged at the dark figure. Swish! The dark figure dodged the left palm strike. Bam! Unable to dodge the right one, it was struck. Its entire body shuddered violently. Losing his balance, it fell to the ground and rolled several times. Humph! Yu Qi sneered coldly as he emitted true energy from his palms and sent out two more palm strikes. Whoosh! Whoosh! The whistling sounded again. Dust and debris danced in the air. The dark figure dodged the first palm strike, and was struck by the other once more. With a crack, the bones in its neck snapped, and its head tilted to the right. Logically speaking, such a fatal wound should have killed it. However, the figure was not dead. With its abnormally broken head hanging on its neck, it continued charging forward at high speed, tearing through the air with its sharp claws. Bam! 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 Seeing this, Yu Qi exerted more force and bombarded the dark figure. Finally, one of the dark figure's arms, and legs, and even its head were torn from its body and fell to the ground. However, at this point, the dark figure was still alive. Its mouth opened and closed with a sinister look on his face. Because it wasn't a human, but a corpse puppet. The corpse puppet that Yu Qi had crippled was even one at the intermediate level. The source of the town's screams and shrieks were the corpse puppets. Yu Qi flew up into the sky and looked down at the town. There were at least 10 corpse puppets rampaging through the town and killing its residents. The town security team couldn't make any difference. All they could do was defend passively and hole up near the home of the ranch owner. All sorts of firearms were mounted, and the sound of gunfire filled the air. When Yu Qi finished off one intermediate corpse puppet and was about to start on his second, he heard a loud bang. Boom! Boom! Two figures suddenly appeared in the air, clashing fiercely. 4th grade. Both of them were in the 4th grade. One of them was someone Yu Qi recognized, the general of the prefecture army, Chu Weiliang. The other one was in black, and his face was hidden from view. However, he had a prominent build and was somewhat obese. The battle between the two was extremely intense, and the force exuded by the aftershocks shattered a large portion of the glass around. Yu Qi took a few glances. Seeing that Chu Weiliang had the upper hand, he decisively charged at the corpse puppet. In midair, he descended at high speed, shattering and crippling the corpse puppets with a single palm strike. Bang! Bang! 1 corpse puppet, 2 corpse puppets, 3 corpse puppets. Before long, Yuchi was done with half of the corpse puppets. When he moved to attack another. Swish! A cold light suddenly came from behind Yuchi, attacking him. Yuchi had no choice but to flash and dodge the attack. Who's there? Yuchi turned around with a cold expression. Swish! 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 Bolts of arrows shot straight towards Yuchi. Swish! Swish! Yuchi dodged swiftly and darted in the direction where the arrows were coming from. Boom! Just as he was about to reach his target, a fiery red palm imprint burst forth and blocked his path. Get lost! Yuchi retaliated with a palm strike of his own. Bam! 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 Muffled sounds rang out incessantly as energy shot everywhere. The resulting shockwave swept through the buildings on both sides, destroying them on a large scale. Amidst the billowing smoke and dust, Yuchi found the people who had released the arrows and killed them one after another with his palm strikes. Among them, 5th-grade martial artist managed to escape briefly. Yuchi chased after him, his palm strikes growing stronger and stronger. The impacts left a massive pits in the ground, and when he hit a building, half of the walls crumbled. Before long, the 5th-grade martial artist was struck in the back and fell to the ground, spurting blood. Swish! Yuchi walked up to the man, looked down and asked, "Speak. Who are you? Why did you create these corpse puppets to kill the innocent?" Hee hee. The 5th-grade martial artist who was spurting blood grinned. Why? Why? I'm the one asking you, said Yuchi with an ugly expression. Ha ha ha. The 5th-grade martial artist gave a miserable laugh. It doesn't matter who you ask. As for the reason, it's all because you people forced our hand. Boom. There was a loud bang in the air. Yuchi looked up and saw Chu Weiyang slowly floating to the ground like a kite that had its string cut. The other 4th-grade expert flew towards Yuchi at high speed. Before he could get close, a rattle appeared in the other party's hand. It wasn't anything but was a child's rattle. The other party suddenly shook the rattle hard. Dong, dong, dong. A crisp, dull sound reverberated through the night sky. In the town, the residents who were running and hiding in the houses suddenly clutched their heads and screamed non-stop. Yuchi felt a sharp pain in his head as he swiftly retreated. He covered his ears and focused his attention on resisting the strange sound. Swish! Right at this moment, a cold glint flashed towards Yuchi. Plkch. A strange squelch resounded, and blood spurted into the air. A large hole had appeared in Yuchi's abdomen, as a throwing daggers penetrated his body. Ha ha ha. The assailant was the 5th-grade martial artist who had spat out a mouthful of blood. He was half-kneeling on the ground with 3 throwing daggers in his hands, laughing maniacally at Yuchi. Swish! 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 Yuchi endured the pain and dodged the first throwing dagger. Plkch. Plkch. However, he failed to dodge the second and third knives and was struck squarely. They landed on his knee and in the right shoulder. Immediately, he fell to his knees, unable to run. Ha ha ha. The 5th-grade martial artist roared with laughter as he continued releasing throwing daggers. This time, the 3 daggers were aimed at Yuchi's head. Swish! Swish! Yuchi dodged 2 of the daggers, but couldn't dodge the third. In a daze, all he could do was stare at the throwing dagger in despair. It grew bigger, and bigger in his field of vision. Clang! A loud, crisp collision resounded in his ears. Resisting the pain, Yuchi looked up in surprise. The third throwing dagger had been sent flying somehow. Swish. A familiar figure descended from the sky. Boom. The air exploded. Agent Palm imprint fell from the sky and struck the furious 5th grade martial artist, killing him on the spot. Cards plus 30. Card plus 15. The notification flashed past quickly. Su Jingxing, who was using the alias Jiang Zia, showed no mercy. After saving Yuqi, he quickly turned around and charged at the 4th grade expert from the He family who was shaking the rattle. Dong, dong, dong. The other party continued shaking. The sound produced by rattle was eerie and terrifying. It triggered everyone's brain, causing them to feel pain and disoriented. More and more people were screaming in the town. The remaining corpse puppets caught up to the fleeing figures and brutally murdered them one by one. Yet, Su Jingxing was unaffected. With his powerful soul power, this bit of mental disruption could do nothing to him. Boom! He threw a punch through the air. Under the enhancement of the 100 steps raining fist, the heaven-trampling true energy kept stacking. The 4th grade expert from the He family who was the target of this punch felt his hair stand on end, and uncontrollable fear rose in his heart. Dong, dong, dong. He shook the rattle with all his might. Seeing that this act was futile, the 4th grade expert decisively gathered all the true energy in his body and focused it on one point. Facing the incoming fist imprint, he thrust out his palm. Bam! A loud bang reverberated through the night. Amidst the rain of blood, the attack of the 4th grade expert was easily neutralized. Then, large holes appeared in his chest and back. The fist penetrated his entire body. The rattle stopped in time. Not only was there no sound, the rattle drum in the 4th grade expert's hand also fell to the ground. However, Su Jingxing scooped it up in the air. Who are you? Swish. Su Jingxing didn't answer. With a flash, he dashed past the 4th grade expert and ripped off his mask. Behind the mask, a fat, honest, greasy-faced middle-aged man's face was exposed. He. Quan. Shui. Su Jingxing greeted dully, his eyes cold. The obese middle-aged man was none other than the current patriarch of the He family, the owner of Scholar Restaurant. He Quan Shui. Su Jingxing had searched for information on the He family previously and seen his photo online. This was the first time they were meeting in real life. He Quan Shui didn't disappoint him either. He had a huge hole in his chest, and he was still alive. Stretching his neck as he held on, he asked in a deep, hoarse voice, Who are you? Who am I? Su Jingxing chuckled. Tell me why you're rearing Feng Taijian, and I'll answer your question. Swish. A gleam flashed across He Chuanshui's eyes, and his pupils dilated. It's you. It's you. That's right. I saved Feng Taijian and hid him away. Su Jingxing intentionally said in a boastful tone. What do you think? Are you really angry? Hate me for spoiling your plans? As he spoke, he suddenly raised his hand and struck at the empty air several times. Bang! 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 In the distance, the remaining corpse puppets were about to pounce on the fleeing crowd. Giant palm imprints emerged from thin air and struck their heads, necks, and upper bodies. With a series of dull thuds, the corpse puppets were either beheaded or they're dismembered. Although they weren't dead, they laid on the ground motionless, unable to continue their massacre. Screams, cries, and cries for help continued to ring out from the town. However, the biggest threat had been eliminated. Even though He Quan Shui couldn't see the scene of the corpse puppets being wiped out, he could tell by the shouts. His plan had failed. And the mysterious man before him was the culprit. Ha! Ha! He Quan Shui opened his mouth, letting the blood flow freely. Smiling bitterly, he said, It was you. So it was all because of you. It was me. I didn't deny it. Su Jingxing chuckled. If you want to know who I am, hurry up and tell. It was you, interrupted He Quan-Shui in a hoarse voice, his voice gradually weakening. It was you. It was all you. You forced me, you forced me. His words trailed off. He was dead. His vitality vanished, and he breathed his last. Card +1. Su Jingxing raised his eyebrows, not entirely satisfied with the result. He still had no idea why the He family reared Feng Taijian. Not to mention their motive behind creating the corpse puppets and massacring the townspeople. What on earth were they up to? As he was pondering, he took out the cards to see if he had extracted the memory card from He Quan-Shui. A faint light suddenly emerged from He Quan-Shui's corpse. Swish! Instead of dying out quickly, the light danced across He Quan-Shui's corpse like a will-o-wisp. Swish! 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 A strange sound accompanied the eerie sight. As the frequency of dancing lights increased, more and more faint lights emerged. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat for some reason. An ominous feeling struck him. Danger. This danger came from He Quan-Shui's corpse. Boom! Without any hesitation, Su Jingxing circulated 100 years of true energy cultivation and threw a punch at He Quan-Shui's corpse, shattering the corpse with dancing lights into a dozen pieces. Splat! 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 They scattered and fell to the ground. Only then did the lurid lights that resembled will-o-wisp stop increasing. Together with the pieces of corpses, they burned. Although the flames were small when separated, the strange thing was that the air was still distorted by the heat. The bad feeling he had earlier and the unknown danger were gone. How is this possible? A stunned voice came from his right. Su Jingxing turned his head and saw the general of the prefecture army stationed in Qinghe City, Chu Weiliang, leaning on a long spear. His eyes were wide open as he gazed at the shattered corpse of He Quan-Shui. With a shocked expression, he murmured, "How is this possible? How is this possible?" "General Chu, you recognize these lights?" asked Su Jingxing. "How could this be? How is this possible?" murmured Chu Weiliang, as though he hadn't heard him. Disbelief was written all over his face. Cough. Su Jingxing quietly executed his high-frequency sound wave secret ability to trigger Chu Weiliang, snapping him out of his daze. "Thank you for your reminder, Senior. I apologized for my loss of composure earlier." Chu Weiliang snapped out of his daze and drew a deep breath. "I didn't expect to see ghost fires here," he said shamefully. "Ghost fire? Is that really ghost fire?" asked Su Jingxing in surprise. "Ghost fire is the name we gave it because few people know its real name," Chu Weiliang explained in a deep voice. "Before this, I only read about it in an ancient text. I understand that these ghost fires are a sign." "A sign?" "Yeah, they're a sign of a terrifying giant bird." Chu Weiliang's voice trembled. "According to the records, those terrifying giant birds don't have physical bodies but exist in the form of souls. Most martial arts aren't capable of killing them. Only ultimate techniques with a few attributes like lightning, nether wind, extreme yang, and so on can. If my guess is correct, there are many tattoos of bird skulls on this corpse." Upon hearing that, Su Jingxing quickly scanned the pieces of He Quan-Shui's corpses. Moments later, he indeed found the tattoo of a bird's skull on 3 pieces. Swish! Swish! Releasing his true energy, he grabbed the 3 pieces of the corpse from a distance and placed them together. They consisted of a foot, a piece from the waist, and the back shoulder. Only half of the tattoo on the back shoulder remained, and the other half had been completely crushed. "That's right. That's it," Chu Weiliang exclaimed, his voice trembling. "I can't believe this guy is on their side. To think they still exist. This won't do. I have to report this to the First Commander and the Supreme Marshal." With that, he turned around and left. Wait, called Su Jingxing from behind. Who does they refer to? Ghost Ride. Ghost Ride? The legendary evil beast? Asked Su Jingxing, puzzled. Or is it the code name of some faction? Yeah, a terrifying ancient organization that has existed for thousands of years. Chu Weiliang answered without looking back as he walked. You can also call them nine-headed birds, because every member of them has a tattoo of a nine-headed bird on their body. The more heads they have, the higher their status in the organization and the stronger they are. Once they die, their tattoos will release ghost fires. The more ghost fires they release, the more terrifying the nine-headed bird's soul that is released will be. According to the ancient records, there was once a man from Ghost Ride who has many as 9 skulls on his body, and formed the true nine-headed bird. He unleashed them after his death and massacred an entire dynasty. Chu Weiliang left to report the situation in the town to his superiors. The long-lost Ghost Ride organization had reappeared. According to Chu Weiliang's final explanation, it had been nearly 100 years since any members of the Ghost Ride appeared. Of course, this disappearance referred to the kind of information that was exposed and known by the government or large-scale sects. No one knew whether Ghost Ride had been operating in secret or not. In the past 100 years, no one had seen a single member of Ghost Ride. Or rather, all those who had were dead. As a result, many people thought that the organization, Ghost Ride, had been wiped out. However, as He Chuanshui's identity as a member of Ghost Ride was exposed, this ancient organization that had existed for thousands of years emerged once again. As soon it did, it caused a large-scale massacre. Massacred an entire functional town. Had it not been for the fact that Yu Qi happened to be invited to celebrate the new year in town. And Su Jingxing rushed over in time to save the day after overhearing He Chuanshui's conversation when he came to pick up corpses. The thousands of people in Ranch Town would have been wiped out tonight. Now that the problem was resolved, Su Jingxing didn't linger around the scene, despite his surprise with Ghost Ride. Flying into the air, he looked down at the town from above to make sure all dangers were eliminated. Walking through the air, Su Jingxing executed his lightness skill, 8 steps rising dragon, and returned to Qinghe City. Cough cough. At the edge of the ruins of Ranch Town, Yu Qi was half kneeling on the ground, coughing up blood. Shock and doubt were spread on his pale face. Are you alright, old Yu? How are you holding up? Xiong Qifan's anxious voice was heard. As he turned the corner, his figure was revealed. He shouted as he ran. He only stopped calling out when he was beside Yu Qi. His expression was grim. Damn it. The culprit was ruthless. Yu Qi had been struck in the knee and couldn't stand, let alone walk. However, he did not complain. Instead, he smiled. Cough, considered okay. The others are all dead, including the culprit. They created corpse puppets and massacred civilians. They deserve to die. That's all thanks to you too, said Xiong Qifan, heaving a sigh of relief. Me? Yu Qi was speechless as he asked, you don't think I beat back the enemy and killed the culprit, do you? Huh? Was it someone else? Asked Xiong Qifan in surprise. Of course. Supported by Xiong Qifan, Yu Qi stood up on one foot. Then, Xiong Qifan picked him up in one hand and carried him home like he was carrying a child. Someone else killed the murderer and saved the town. Yu Qi hopped as he shared, he's very powerful. A conservative estimate would be 3rd grade. Without him, I would really have turned into a corpse. Is that so? Looks like we got lucky. A 3rd grade martial artist just so happened to be passing by this town. Xiong Qifan didn't think much and replied in surprise. Yeah. Yu Qi sighed. There was something he did not mention. The person who had saved him was someone very familiar. It felt like he had seen him somewhere before. The two of them chatted as they returned to Xiong Qifan's small courtyard. Along the way, they responded to the corpses they encountered and the crying survivors with silence. There was no solution to this unexpected catastrophe to begin with. And they had been lucky tonight, not many had died, perhaps 100 or two. Majority of the people were saved by hiding in the basement in time. Now that the danger had been eliminated, they came out to help save others and take care of the corpses. The corpse puppets that were still alive, dismembered and snarling, especially, were incinerated immediately. All deceased had their information registered at the first moment and were incinerated on the spot. It was late at night, and it would take too long to wait for the corpse collection team to arrive. As a precaution, they had to be incinerated them immediately. The ashes could be preserved for subsequent farewell ceremonies. Of course, the necessary calls were still made. As soon as the city guard office, martial suppression office of Qinghe City, and the nearby prefecture army received the calls, they rushed to Ranch Town. After returning home, Xiong Qifan quickly pulled out the knives for Yu Qi and gave him treatment. The entire family who had been hiding in the basement also came out to help. Some of them boiled water while others took medicine. Yu Qi was put on the bed after his condition was stabilized and his wounds were bandaged. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. "Come with me, son." Xiong Qifan's old father called Xiong Qifan over to follow him. The two of them entered the old man's bedroom. "What's the matter, Dad?" asked Xiong Qifan, closing the door at his father's signal. "Is anything wrong?" Instead of answering, the old man took out an old trunk from under the bed. Then, as he opened it, he said, "I was planning to wait a few more years. After all, my body is doing fine. Let's not talk about anything more, but 10 years is definitely no problem." Xiong Qifan blushed with shame. "Dad, why are you saying all this out of the blue? Relax. 20 or even 30 years wouldn't be a problem, let alone 10 years. Mo." The old master replied calmly, "That's not what I want to talk about. Besides, 10 or 30 years is the same to me." Then what are you trying to say?" asked Xiong Qifan with a smile, not daring to talk back. "Have something for you." The old man took out a package from the opened box and unwrapped it layer by layer. Finally, a palm-sized, delicate wooden box was revealed. "I'm old, and I'll take however much time I have left. I thought I could keep it for a dozen more years, but what happened tonight made me realize that I can't drag this on any longer." The old man opened the wooden box and took out a well-preserved piece of beeswax. Handing it to Xiong Qifan, he said solemnly, "Son, we also have a family heirloom. This is it. This piece of beeswax has been passed down in our family for tens of generations and has never been lost. The ancestors have left behind their last words: the family heirloom must never be shared with anyone, not even to your wives or children. One can only choose the most reliable descendant on his deathbed and relay the information. This descendant can be a son or a daughter. The one I have is from my great-grandmother. I'm handing it to you today. I hope you keep it safe. I can tell you that this family heirloom contains a secret, but it has been hundreds of years, and no one has discovered what it is. After you take it, you can try to do some simple cracking, but remember not to go overboard. Otherwise, if you spoil it, I won't let you off even if I die and become a ghost." At the end of his speech, the old man glared at Xiong Qifan sternly. Xiong Qifan was completely dumbfounded. A family heirloom? Beeswax? Their family owned a piece of beeswax heirloom? Beeswax. Family heirloom. The combination of these two elements made Xiong Qifan's heart race uncontrollably. Slowly, his shocked face flushed red. The old man frowned. "What's wrong with you? It's a family heirloom, but you don't have to be so agitated." Swish. Xiong Qifan grabbed the beeswax from his hand as if he was snatching it from him. Holding it in his hand, he injected true energy into it. Then, he held it under the light. "What are you doing, you rascal?" Seeing this, the old master, who was squatting on the ground, sprang to his feet and scolded Xiong Qifan. "I'm not dead yet, and you are already in such a hurry to inherit the family heirloom? I'm telling you, you." The word "you" was dragged on and the rest of his words trailed off. The old man's eyes widened as he stared blankly at the beeswax that Xiong Qifan was holding in the air. Under the light from the bedroom's ceiling lamp, the center of the beeswax suddenly began turning transparent. The outline of a strange-looking ring was revealed. It glimmered under the light. This is, the old master's mouth dropped open in disbelief. "Is this, the secret?" Gulp. The old man swallowed hard. There was a secret in the beeswax heirloom. This was something that the safekeeper of every generation knew. However, no one knew what exactly the secret was. However, as soon as he gave it to Xiong Qifan, the latter discovered the secret and immediately revealed it. Could this be the will of the heavens? The old man murmured to himself at this thought. In comparison, Xiong Qifan was flushed with joy. Had it not been for his good composure, he would have burst out laughing the moment he saw the outline of the ring. The flying lion ring. He couldn't believe he obtained the other half of the flying lion ring so easily. This half of the flying lion ring had been passed down through his ancestors. Great-grandmother. No, since the old man called her great-grandmother. When it came to him, she would be his great-great-grandmother. Come to think of it, it was only more than 100 years ago that this half of the flying lion ring came into the possession of the Xiong's. Such methods of handing down heirlooms to daughters were rare in ancient times. But, correspondingly, it was also safer. After all, a married daughter was like poured-out water. In ancient times, married daughters rarely returned to their maiden homes. Handing a family heirloom to a daughter was akin to throwing it away. Who would have thought that the beeswax that stored half of the flying lion ring would be passed down through such a method? If this daughter was not well liked, or if she never returned home after getting married, all news about it would be lost. Anyone who knew about the flying lion ring would have no way of investigating its whereabouts. Of course, there were also dangers lurking behind the flying lion ring. The keeper of the other half of the flying lion ring that was previously exposed was brutally murdered. Xiong Qifan didn't want his family to suffer the same fate. At this thought, he forced himself to regain his composure. Putting away the beeswax, he said sternly to the old man, "Dad, you and I are the only ones who know about the secret of the family heirloom. You must not tell anyone about this. It involves..." Thud. The old man who was equally tall and burly gave Xiong Qifan a quick smack on the head. "Do I need you to tell me?" The old man cursed irritably. "This has been in my hands for more than 20 years. If I wanted to tell anyone, would I have kept it a secret until today?" "Yes, yes. You are the best." Xiong Qifan gave a sheepish smile. "I was just giving you a reminder, I was afraid you might have forgotten. The ring in this beeswax has something to do with a major event. A lot of people have died because of it." "Humph," sneered the old master dismissively. "I may only be a 9th-grade martial artist and not as strong as you, but I've seen bloodshed before. Would I be scared just because a few people have died? Lo. Alright, enough with the **T. Xiong Qifan was about to say something when the old man cut him off with a wave of his hand. "Anyway, now that this thing is in your hands, you can do whatever you want with it. From now on, it has nothing to do with me." With that, he squatted down, closed the trunk, and put it back under the bed. Then, he turned around and left the bedroom. Xiong Qifan was left alone, scratching his head while grinning. After a while, he smacked his head, took out his phone, and dialed the number Gu Zhanlin had left behind. The flying lion ring was a hot potato. For every day it remained in his hands, it would be an additional day of trouble. The fastest way to ensure the safety of the family was to hand it over as quickly as possible and do some slight publicizing. This half of the Flying Lion Ring would be the safest with the prefecture army. After all, how many people dared to steal from the Chanyang prefecture army? Qinghe City. In a small courtyard at the foot of the Western District Mountain. Su Jingxing, who had returned home, had no idea that the other half of the Flying Lion Ring had emerged and was quickly being transferred to the Chanyang prefecture army. As soon as he got back, he took out the cards he had extracted from the ranch town. He held them in his hands and read their descriptions. In the end, he discovered that there were 14 martial arts practice cards, with either 2 or 3 years of practice time. It seemed that it hadn't been long since He Quan Shui created those corpse puppets. Then there were the Requiem cards. There were 9 of them. He didn't know if they were from people who were scared to death. Then there were the Internal Force cards. A total of 11 cards, with 3 to 10 years of cultivation. There were also 2 True Energy cards, one of which contained 15 years of cultivation. This card most likely came from He Quan Shui's corpse. Finally, there were many Essence Energy cards, Strength Enhancement cards, and other life skill cards. The memory card that Su Jingxing wanted the most finally appeared at the end. It contained 25 years of memories of a man named He Quan Men. He was He Quan Shui's younger cousin. Even though they were cousins, he was on good terms with He Quan Shui, as though they were biological brothers. Because of this, Su Jingxing was finally able to see the He family's secret through He Quan Men's memories. The He family had kept such a low profile for the past 400 years that few knew about them. Outsiders thought they had done so on purpose. They didn't want to be high profile and attract attention. The fewer people knew about them, the less trouble there would be. In truth, it wasn't that the He family wanted to keep a low profile, but that they didn't dare not to. First of all, one of the He family's ancestors had an astonishing identity. More than 400 years ago, the He family's ancestor was the military chef of the Rising Dragon Saber King, Lu Chenglong. He was not an ordinary fireman, he was a dedicated chef who served Lu Chenglong alone. As Lu Chenglong cultivated a martial art, he needed special food. As a result, the He family's ancestor became the lucky guy. He followed Lu Chenglong wherever he went. Such a private chef was a trusted aide among trusted aides. As time passed, Lu Chenglong would casually give some pointers on martial arts to the He family's ancestor. In the end, he even imparted to him a strange ultimate technique. The Heaven Ascension Feast. This was an intriguing martial art that allowed one to advance to 3rd grade by eating. The only problem was that some rare heavenly treasures were required to succeed. The main ingredient, the purple blood dragon king ginseng, was even rarer. When cooking, special cooking utensils had to be used. The dragon melting pot. After Lu Chenglong's death, the He family's ancestor had used schemes and managed to obtain this spirit weapon kitchenware. In the beginning, thanks to his identity as Lu Chenglong's private chef, the He family's ancestor paid big money and used some channels to successfully locate half a stock of purple blood dragon king ginseng. This purple blood dragon king ginseng was used to make a total of 3 heavenly ascension feasts, making 3 3rd-grade powerhouses. However, as time passed, after that ancestor passed on, descendants of the He family could no longer use the connections from Lu Chenglong when he was alive, and the purple blood dragon king ginseng was never obtained again. Without the main ingredient, the Heaven Ascension Feast naturally wouldn't succeed. The He family's descendants were indignant. For 3 consecutive generations, they thought of all kinds of methods to restart the Heaven Ascension Feast. In the end, things didn't go as they had hoped. Until a descendant of the He family accidentally obtained an ancient text that recorded an evil way of substituting the heavenly treasures. Human medicine. Humans were above all living beings. Even though the bodies made of flesh and blood seemed to be fragile, they possessed an incredible growth potential. However, due to various factors, it could not be fully developed. Practicing martial arts was one of the ways to develop it. If one used humans as the foundation, the effects of the medicine produced would not be inferior to that which uses heavenly treasures. Or rather, human medicines were heavenly treasures to begin with. Of course, producing human medicine was very troublesome, but once compared to the very rare purple blood dragon king Jingxing, it was much simpler. The purple blood dragon king Jingxing grows in an extremely special environment. Human medicine was different, it could be man-made. The solution was simple: find the right target. Though this target had to meet certain requirements. For example, never falling sick since they were young. They could not be a martial artist either because the birth of internal force would stimulate the human body. Even though the stimulation was to strengthen one's organs, bones, and tendons, for human medicine, the purer the better. After finding a suitable candidate, the He family would slowly nourish the other party's body through food, slowly improving it. Finally, when the body conditions were met, it would be put into the dragon melting pot and cooked for the heavenly ascension feast. Taking Feng Taijian as an example, the He family had secretly reared him for 5 years before he fulfilled the final requirements. Unfortunately, due to Su Jingxing's interference, Feng Taijian disappeared. The human medicine that he had reared to fulfillment escaped. He Quanxue went berserk, roared in anger, and refused to give up. On top of that, Su Tailong had been secretly investigating the He family. Indignant, the crazed He Quanxue steeled his resolve and took the evil shortcut again. Massacre 1,000 people, gather 1,000 people's blood, and refine the blood spirit pearl. Using the power of the blood spirit pearl, he could create a new human medicine within a short period of time. This time, He Quanxue decided that he would detain the human medicine until it was reared to maturation. However, Su Jingxing ruined his plan again. Moreover, he even managed to interrupt his final eruption after death. Even though He Quanmen didn't know that He Quanxue was a member of Ghost Ride, he knew that his big brother had joined a mysterious organization and had a powerful backer. Only, it had been 20 years since he last saw this backer. Ever since the last He family member who joined a mysterious organization disappeared, He Quanxue had been waiting. However, after waiting for 20 years, his backer did not appear again. According to He Quanxue's memories, this was one of the reasons why He Quanxue created corpse puppets to massacre functional towns, and obtain the blood spirit pearl. He Quanxue had once told him that only after advancing to the 3rd grade could one proceed to the organization's gathering place. This section of memories made Su Jingxing's heart skip a beat. Only upper 3rd grade martial artists are allowed to go to the gathering place of Ghost Ride? Wouldn't that mean Ghost Ride's lair is filled with experts in the top ranks? How terrifying! As expected of an ancient faction that has existed for thousands of years. Su Jingxing was alarmed. Now that He Quanxue and He Quanmen were all dead, the He family's members in Qinghe City only consisted of the elderly, women, and children. According to He Quanmen's memories, they did not know the secret of the He family's heaven ascension feast. For hundreds of years, the He family had only passed down the heaven ascension feast to core members. Moreover, only to sons and not daughters. Therefore, other than the member of Ghost Ride who had disappeared for 20 years, He Renya, the He family's main force had been wiped out. Feng Taijian could finally return in peace. Su Jingxing was now the only person who knew that he had been chosen to become human medicine. Everyone else was dead. Unless Hen Renya were to return and happen to be in close contact with Feng Taijian to figure out his identity as human medicine, Feng Taijian would not be in danger. Putting the slim chance of that happening aside, there were other ways for Feng Taijian to completely get rid of this threat. That was to refine the medicinal power in his body. According to He Quanmen's memory, he should find a body-tempering martial art that could absorb all the medicinal power in his body and convert it into internal force. Feng Taijian would then no longer have to worry about his identity as a human medicine being exposed. Otherwise, even without He Renya who had disappeared for 20 years, there would have been 3rd grade experts like Zhang Renya, Wang Renya, and others who could identify him as human medicine. At this thought, Su Jingxing decided to teach Feng Taijian a martial art, the copper human mantra he had collected. This martial art came from a skill card. It wasn't of a high grade, and wasn't attractive to Su Jingxing. But it would be enough for Feng Taijian. In He Quanman's memories, the dragon melting pot and the elderly, women, and children of the He family were hidden in the basement of a building diagonally across from Scholar Restaurant. No one could have guessed this. The He family's secret base was so close to Scholar Restaurant. After some thought, Su Jingxing decided to find an opportunity to retrieve this spirit weapon, pot. There was nothing wrong with the dragon melting pot itself. The fault lay with the He family's ancestor for taking the evil path instead of the right path. With Lu Chenglong's help, Su Jingxing didn't believe the He family's ancestors didn't know of any other advanced martial arts that could push one to the third grade. But they were used to taking shortcuts, fast and efficient. They were not interested in taking the right path, which was tiring and took a lot of time and effort to break through to the third grade. As a result, the dragon melting pot now had a thick bloody shadow casted over it as well. Once Su Jingxing got it back and cleansed it, he might be able to refine pills with it. The He family had a total of 3 spirit weapons. The kitchen knife, the dragon melting pot, and the mind-stirring rattle. The kitchen knife had been taken away by the members of the Golden Chen family, and the mind-stirring rattle that looked like a child's rattle was already in Su Jingxing's hands. Now, all that was left was the dragon melting pot. Now that Su Jingxing knew about it, he wasn't about to let it slip by either. After watching through all the memories, Su Jingxing drew a deep breath. The He family's matters could pretty much come to an end now. The massacre at Ranch Town should be enough to keep Qinghe City's City Guard Office and the Martial Suppression Office busy for a while. With this in mind, Su Jingxing was in no hurry to go to the prefecture city to look for Feng Taijian to practice martial arts. Instead, he took out 9 requiem cards and unlocked them one by one, acquiring 15 spirit accumulation pills. How much soul power does a spirit accumulation pill increase again? Su Jingxing had somewhat forgotten. But it didn't matter. He just had to consume them. Immediately, he gobbled down 15 spirit accumulation pill in batches, slowly nourishing his soul power to strengthen the heaven-trampling elephant. When he was done consuming the 15 pills, Su Jingxing controlled the heaven-trampling elephant, which had shrunk to half its original size, to unleash a forceful suppression on the Sisui horned dragons. Roar! Pull! The cries of dragons and the cries of elephants reverberated throughout his spiritual sea. The Sisui horned dragon struggled and resisted, its shockwaves sweeping through the body of the heaven-trampling devil elephant. Its body shone with the light of lightning. It raised its trunk, and its spear-like tusks pierced through the air. Then, it raised its feet and stomped down. Roar! Pull! The cries of a dragon and an elephant grew louder and louder, resounding in his mind. However, the former was getting softer, and the latter was getting louder. Finally, the Sisui horned dragon stopped struggling and gave up on fusing into Su Jingxing's mind. Seizing the opportunity, the elephant's trunk swept up the black horned dragon and swallowed it. To fuse with Su Jingxing's will and mind, the Sisui horned dragons had to go deep into his sea of consciousness. On the contrary, controlling the Sisui horned dragon was much simpler for Su Jingxing. He just had to devour it. Martial art true intents also differed in strengths. No matter how powerful a third-grade martial artist was, they wouldn't be stronger than a first-grade martial artist. The Sisui horned dragon was extremely powerful when it was with Lu Chenglong. However, with Lu Chenglong's death, it had been wearing itself away over the past 400 years. Currently, the Sisui horned dragon only had the power of an ordinary third-grade martial artist. When Lu Chenglong was negotiating the deal with Su Jingxing, he had said that by inheriting his treasure, one could directly advance to the third grade and finally the first grade. The reason for this was that after leaving Lu Chenglong, the Sisui horned dragon after a few hundred years was tens of times weaker than when it was at its peak. If the Sisui horned dragon had been at its peak, the heaven-trampling elephant that Su Jingxing visualized wouldn't have been able to suppress it at all. His soul power would be insufficient. However, the Sisui horned dragon, which only had the power of an ordinary third grade, was much simpler. After ingesting the spirit accumulation pill, the boost in soul power helped Su Jingxing to successfully suppress the Sisui horned dragon with the help of heaven-trampling elephant and devour it. Su Jingxing's consciousness now had absolute control over it. This would have taken him at least a month and a half, but he had achieved it in less than 10 minutes. The moment he achieved absolute control. Roar! The black Sisui horned dragon transformed from a virtual entity into a physical entity, coiling and roaring around Su Jingxing. Swish! Hoo! 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 Worldly energy from within 100-meter radius converged on its own, coiling without dissipating. The Sisui horned dragon was 10 meters long and covered in vivid scales. It emanated an aura that was both mighty and domineering. If the rising dragon Saber King were to appear, the Sisui horned dragon would be over 100 meters long, wouldn't it? Su Jingxing subconsciously clenched his fists as he sensed the powerful strength coming from his soul. It was unknown how much soul power was required for the external release of the heaven-trampling elephant. The suppression of the Sisui horned dragon had been realized ahead of time, making up for this flaw. At long last, Su Jingxing possessed a mental attack. Of course, the mind-stirring rattle was also a spirit weapon in terms of mental attacks. And it wasn't weak either. However, the mind-stirring rattle was a crowd control technique that covered a large area. Moreover, there was no distinction between friend and foe. In He Kuanman's memories, there was a way to control the mind-stirring rattle rather than randomly shaking it. The problem was that He Kuan-shui knew what it was, as did the two fourth-grade elders of the He family. Only He Kuan-men did not. For that, Su Jingxing had no choice but to leave the mind-stirring rattle aside. 14 martial arts practice cards, each with 2 to 3 years of practice time. Su Jingxing thought for a moment and decided to cultivate the 36 alterations of 1,000 transformations first. He wanted to upgrade this manifestation technique to the peak of perfection. It allowed one to create 27 true energy clones at once, each lasting more than 15 minutes. Every true energy clone contained Su Jingxing's breath and aura. Unless one had powerful soul power or outstanding senses, it was impossible to tell that they weren't real people. After the 36 alterations of 1,000 transformations was the 9 steps trampling heaven. This martial art had always been at the 6th level. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Su Jingxing raised it to the 8th level. Not only was the speed at which he condensed the heaven-trampling true energy faster, the quality of his true energy had undergone another qualitative change, and his strength tripled when he unleashed it. The effects of true fluid were even better than before. Taking the Requiem cards for example, if he had not extracted them, he could have used the 8th level 9 steps trampling heaven to completely reduce the time required to suppress the Sisui horned dragon from half a month to 10 days. Finally, there was the energy section of the colossal divine dagger. Previously, it had been at the advanced level, but this time, Su Jingxing had upgraded it to the peak of perfection. As a result, when his throwing daggers were released wrapped in true energy, they flew faster, further away, and were even more lethal. Each dagger could deliver 2 times more damage. Only one of the 14 martial arts practice cards were left. It contained 3 years of practice time. Su Jingxing kept it as a reserve. He did not unlock the internal force cards and true energy cards either. After getting used to it, he began to feel his strength increase. After a while, Su Jingxing stopped everything and put on a new cloak and mask before heading to the He family's secret base. He Kuan-shui had placed the dragon melting pot in a hidden room at the secret base. None of the elderly, the women, and the children knew about it. With He Kuanman's memories guiding him, Su Jingxing snuck into the basement silently, avoiding the elderly, women, and children of the He family. He found the hidden room, took the dragon melting pot, and left quietly. The entire process did not cause any commotion. Back at his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain, Su Jingxing took out the dragon melting pot and examined it, sensing its sentience. However, he realized that ordinary flames wouldn't be enough to cook anything in this three-legged dark gold pot. Wood, gas, or plastic. None worked. Only by burning true energy could it be heated up. Correspondingly, it also had excellent effects. It could 100% preserve the food's energy and maintain its freshness for a long time. For the He family to use it to cook the Heaven Ascension feast was like killing a chicken with a treasure knife. Had Lu Chenglong known about this, he might have just killed them with a single palm strike. Fortunately, this special spirit weapon belonged to Su Jingxing from now on. Even though Su Jingxing had no intention of using it to cook food before he cleansed it, it did look good. It was almost dawn. After putting away the dragon melting pot, he soared into the sky and rode thunderbolt straight to the prefecture city to bring Feng Taijian back. Changyang Prefecture, Prefecture City. Feng Taijian woke up early in the morning. Instead of washing up, he unlocked the door and strolled around the hotel. Seeing that it was still early and there weren't many people on the street, he immediately left the hotel. Ha ha ha. Awesome. Awesome. Woohoo. Facing the morning breeze, Feng Taijian shouted excitedly as he ran. Having stayed in the hotel room for more than 2 months, Feng Taijian felt like he was starting to rot despite having food and drinks sent to his door every day. Now that he was free, breathing in the fresh air on the street made him feel indescribably comfortable. How pleasant. As he yelled, he ran down a street. After venting all the pent-up frustration in his heart, he slowed down his pace and strolled leisurely. Compared to Qinghe City, the prefecture city was only slightly bigger and had more people. In fact, in terms of environment, it was even inferior to Qinghe City. Feng Taijian strolled around the hotel he was staying in. When he was almost done, he leisurely walked back. He didn't have any money on him, and could only afford to eat and drink as he pleased at the hotel. Since he had come out early in the morning, he was already famished. By the time he reached the entrance of the hotel, he couldn't help but speed up. In the end, he accidentally bumped into an old man with long hair tied into a braid. Sorry. Snapping out of his daze, Feng Taijian quickly lowered his head and bowed in apology. Humph, watch your step next time, a middle-aged man with a long face beside the old man snapped coldly. Yes, of course, said Feng Taijian, nodding fervently. He was as polite as one could be. The aura of the old man and the middle-aged man clearly belonged to martial artists. They were fierce, dignified, and gave off an invisible sense of suppression. So, at this moment, Feng Taijian's heart was racing. He felt both fear and regret. Fortunately, the middle-aged man did not hold him back. Waving his hand, he said, "Scram." Not daring to make a sound, Feng Taijian lowered his head and left. Wait. The old man with the braided hair swept his burning gaze across Feng Taijian. He asked curiously with his aged voice, "What's your name?" Feng Taijian, stammered Feng Taijian, stopping in his tracks. His scalp was numb with fear. "I was wrong, sir. I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose. It's fine." The old man smiled. "I don't blame you. I just thought we were fated to meet. I wish to become friends with you. Would you be willing to be my friend, little Feng?" "Huh?" Feng Taijian's mouth fell open. The middle-aged man beside him also widened his eyes in confusion. Fated? Be friends? Was he deaf? Others who were entering and exiting the hotel slowed down and scanned Feng Taijian and the old man when they heard that. "Why? Are you unwilling, little Feng?" asked the old man again, his voice softer. No. A shiver ran down Feng Taijian's spine. He snapped out of his daze and stammered, "That's not what I meant." I'm just. I'm just. Just surprised. Baffled? Puzzled? Inquired the old man cooperatively. Yeah, said Feng Taijian, swallowing nervously as his eyes darted around. What's so surprising about that? Commented the middle-aged man quickly. It's your blessing that old Lu has taken a fancy to you. Why are you stuttering and hesitating? If I were you, I would agree to it immediately. You better think this through, a voice suddenly interrupted, cutting off Feng Taijian as he prepared to speak. Swish. The old man's gaze turned cold as he looked towards the source of the voice. His cold gaze was fixed on Su Jingxing. The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows and looked at Su Jingxing. Su Jingxing, who was wearing a cloak and a mask, ignored the two of them. He looked at Feng Taijian and said indifferently, sometimes, choices are very important, especially when hatred or liking does not exist for no reason in this world. What do you mean? Feng Taijian was stunned for a moment before returning to his senses. He cried out in surprise, Senior, you are finally back. With that, he prepared to make a beeline for Su Jingxing. Pa! With a loud crack, his shoulder was tightly gripped. It wasn't a tap, nor was it a scratch, but a grip. Using his claw-like hands, with fingers as sharp as blades, the old man with the braided hair pierced them into Feng Taijian's flesh and bound him. Ah! The sudden attack made Feng Taijian scream in agony. Everyone inside and outside the hotel was shocked by his scream. They turned to look at Feng Taijian, then scattered and backed away swiftly upon seeing his miserable state. This move of the old man clearly told others that he was a martial artist, and an extremely powerful one at that. Interfering with the affairs of such an expert would only result in death. As a result, the three people, the old man, the middle-aged man and Feng Taijian, were the only ones left at the entrance of the hotel. The others backed away and stood in corners, gazing at the entrance of the hotel as they waited for further developments. Feng Taijian's scream had reverberated through the hotel lobby and even through the streets at the entrance. More and more spectators began to gather. Shut up! The old man warned coldly, scream again and I'll cut your tongue off. You can try if you don't believe me. Clenching his teeth tightly, his face flushed red. He dared not speak. He could feel it. The old fellow wasn't trying to scare him, he was telling the truth. He would really dare to do so. At this moment, Feng Taijian's heart was racing with fear and panic. He just couldn't wrap his head around the fact that he was about to get killed by someone just by bumping into him. What's the meaning of this, old fellow? There was no change in Su Jingxing's voice. He watched the old man's movements, maintaining his aura. What do I mean? The old man sneered. I don't care what your relationship is, but I've got my eyes on this kid. You want him? Su Jingxing chuckled. What do you like about him? He's handsome. He eats a lot. He **ts fast. Senior, save me, senior, begged Feng Taijian through gritted teeth. He. The old man wasn't offended at all. Instead, he replied with a cold smile. Both you and I know what I see in him. Only he doesn't know. Know what? Asked Feng Taijian through gritted teeth. The old man ignored him and continued to stare at Su Jingxing. I don't care who you are. In any case, I have to take him away. You. Take him away, interrupted Su Jingxing calmly. Are you sure? What, you wish to stop me? Killing intent surged in the old man's eyes. No, said Su Jingxing coolly. You can take him away. Kill him and take his corpse away. Ah! Feng Taijian's eyes widened in disbelief. The middle-aged man's pupils constricted instantly. Ha ha ha. Instead, it was the old man who burst out laughing. Take his corpse away. No, I want him alive. As soon as he finished speaking. Roar. A roar resounded through the air. As the air twisted, a huge white snake about 7 to 8 meters long was born in a flash. It interfered with reality through the mind. As it condensed, it circled and coiled around the old man and snarled with its head raised. An invisible, terrifying pressure was formed. With the hotel entrance as the center, everyone within a 100-meter radius lost control of themselves. Their legs went weak and they dropped to their knees. This included the middle-aged man. He knelt before the old man, excitement written all over his face. Even though Feng Taijian wasn't on his knees, his face was ashen and his body was trembling. Except for Su Jingxing. Without another word, the old man materialized his martial art true intent. He clearly didn't want to waste any more words and was prepared to take Feng Taijian away by force. As for the reason. Clearly, he had figured out Feng Taijian's identity as a human medicine. The old man wanted to take all of Feng Taijian's value for himself. Had it not been for Su Jingxing's timely arrival, Feng Taijian would have been fooled into leaving with him. Turning to violence since talking didn't work. Su Jingxing, who ignored the suppression, said with a smile, "A third-grade martial artist simply enjoys abducting people off the streets." Roar. The answer to Su Jingxing's question was a long roar from the martial art true intent of the white snake. Swinging its tail, it pounced at Su Jingxing. Roar. An even louder roar erupted. The black Sisui horned dragon darted out like a bolt of lightning, materializing in the air and circling around Su Jingxing. It opened its gaping mouth and bit and devoured the white snake as it pounced over. Roar. The white snake twisted madly. Ah! The old man shrieked at the same time. With all his might, Feng Taijian flung him away. While screaming, the old man pounced at Su Jingxing. "I'm gonna kill you." Boom! His furious strike burst forth. The terrifying attack arrived before Su Jingxing, before the old man could even get close. 7 consecutive law-like true energy imprints attacked Su Jingxing from different directions. Everywhere they passed, the air was torn apart, leaving behind 7 distinct marks. PLKCH. 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 The claw-like winds that were almost tangible enveloped Su Jingxing all around. Up, down, left, right, front, back, sealing off all routes of retreat. Instantly, Su Jingxing was completely surrounded. However, he did not panic or feel afraid. The old fellow's attacks were indeed terrifying, but Su Jingxing wasn't weak either. Bam! 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 3 punches in a row easily broke through the claw seals. Pa! He threw a palm strike from a distance, and a semi-transparent, silvery black palm imprint slammed on the charging old man. It dissipated his crazed attacks and sent him reeling backward. Controlling the martial art true intent of the Sisui horned dragons, he seized the opportunity to chow down the white snake. It was as if a true dragon was devouring a huge snake. In less than half a minute, it had swallowed up the snake. Pooh! The retreating old man spat out a mouthful of blood, his face as pale as a sheet. He wasn't like the crazed Shirzini who couldn't feel anything. Every shattering of a martial art true intent dealt severe damage to one's spirit, mind, and will. It was impossible to immediately manifest it again. Even without his martial art true intent, the old man still had other ultimate moves and trump cards. But since he wasn't even a match Su Jingxing when he manifested his martial art true intent, what more without the support of his martial art true intent? He had met his match. The old man, whose head was throbbing and his heart aching, was finally enlightened. If Feng Taijian, this human medicine, dared to walk the streets openly, how could he not have a backer? His momentary greed had led him to be put against such a powerful backer. The old man was both shocked and enraged. "You! Stop!" Right at that moment, a loud yell came from afar. Whoosh! 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 The sound of rushing wind could be heard. In the air, 3 figures dashed towards the entrance of the hotel through the air. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. They descended from the sky and stood between Su Jingxing and the old man. "Friends, please calm down." The middle-aged man who spoke had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a resolute aura. He was dressed in an armed training suit, and even though he was standing still, he was very eye-catching. "If there's a misunderstanding, you can sit down and talk it out. I, Tang Lianyuan, don't have anything but I can still afford a few cups of Longxian tea," said the middle-aged man with a friendly smile. He first looked at the old man, then at Su Jingxing. It's been a while since we last met. Elder Zhang's capabilities have improved again." The other burly man, who was nearly 2 meters tall, laughed. "It's rare for us to meet again here. Why don't we find a place to have some tea and catch up, Elder Zhang?" Then, lowering his voice, he said quickly, "I have good news for you, Elder Zhang. I've already found half of the Flying Lion Ring." "The Flying Lion Ring? How did the Changyang Prefecture army find the other half of the Flying Lion Ring so quickly?" Su Jingxing was taken aback. But his aura remained the same. The burly man was none other than Gu Zhanlin, one of the commanders of the Changyang Prefecture army whom he had met once previously. Last time, the two of them were in a valley deep in the Green Cloud mountain range, trying to awaken the flying lions. In the end, they gave up because they did not have the Flying Lion Ring. To be honest, Su Jingxing was a little surprised to see him again today. Especially when Gu Zhanlin and the others had rushed over from nearby to stop his fight with the old man. It was Su Jingxing's first time seeing Tang Lianyuan, the middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and big eyes, but he knew who he was. He was the commander of city governance of Changyang Prefecture City's Martial Suppression Office, a third-grade expert. The fact that Gu Zhanlin had appeared together with Tang Lianyuan meant that the two of them had been discussing something earlier. The third person with them was a sloppy old man with disheveled hair and a muscular build. He was most likely. Ha! Ha ha ha! The unkempt old man suddenly burst out laughing, interrupting Su Jingxing, who was about to speak. "Ha ha ha! Good, good, good. The heavens don't want me dead." Laughing, he pounced on Feng Taijian, grabbed him, and easily lifted him up like he was a chick. Then, his hands moved up and down Feng Taijian's body, non-stop. He laughed out loud as he touched him. "Good, good, good, good. Ha ha ha." Stunned. Feng Taijian was stunned, absolutely dumbfounded. Tang Lianyuan and Gu Zhanlin were both wide-eyed with shock. The others also gaped, puzzled by what was happening. Su Jingxing was slightly better, he could tell that the unkempt old man was examining Feng Taijian's physique. He had most probably identified Feng Taijian as a human medicine. The combination of the two perfectly met one of the unkempt old man's requirements. That was why he was so excited. "Commander Gu, who is this?" asked Su Jingxing, breaking the silence with his aged voice. "You can address him as the Diamond King. He's the sect master of the Diamond Sect and also its sole disciple." Gu Zhanlin came back to his senses and explained, the reason why the Diamond King was so agitated must have been because of this young man's conditions. He finally fulfilled his requirements for taking in a disciple. "Taking in a disciple?" Su Jingxing asked, raising his eyebrows in surprise. "Commander Gu, are you saying that the Diamond King is going to take in a disciple? Take in this young man who is fated with me to be his disciple?" "Most likely." Gu Zhanlin replied, "For generations, the Diamond Sect only has one disciple. The sect master is also the sole disciple of the sect. The title, Diamond King, is also the only title. They have their own requirements for taking in disciples, and these requirements are very special. Outsiders don't know the specifics. We know that one does not necessarily need to be a martial artist. Ordinary people who meet the requirements will also be accepted. This young man that Elder Jiang knows must have met the requirements. He's very lucky to have encountered the Diamond King here, said Gu Zhanlin, envy appearing on his face. He paused and recalled something, then added, "Don't tell me you want to take him in as a disciple too, Elder Jiang." "No." Su Jingxing answered frankly, "I only lent him a helping hand because fate had brought us together. Who would have thought that this young man would benefit from a disaster and run into the Diamond King? Even without me, he would be able to protect himself in the future. May ask if he is the reason why Elder Jiang got physical with Chairman Bai." Tang Lianyuan popped in a question at the right moment. "Yes." Su Jingxing nodded. "He tried to abduct him by force, I won't agree to it, so I acted. As for the reason, can't you tell why?" "Tell what?" asked Tang Lianyuan, puzzled. Gu Zhanlin also frowned. "What is Elder Jiang referring to?" "His constitution," reminded Su Jingxing. "There's something wrong with this young man's constitution. The reason why the Diamond King was so excited is because of his constitution." "Constitution?" asked Tang Lianyuan, his eyes roving over Feng Taijian. Gu Zhanlin's gaze fell on Feng Taijian, scanning him repeatedly. Finally, a few minutes later, Gu Zhanlin's eyes abruptly widened in shock. "How is this possible? Was he born this way or was it acquired?" "Do you think he was born this way or was it acquired, Commander Gu?" asked Su Jingxing coolly. Even without saying a word, Tang Lianyuan had also recognized Feng Tiejian's identity as a human medicine. His mouth dropped open at once. Shock was written all over his face. When he heard Su Jingxing and Gu Zhanlin's conversation, his pupils constricted. How could the constitution of a human medicine be innate? They were reared and nurtured to be this way. Clearly, the Diamond King was so excited because he had figured out Feng Tiejian's identity as a human medicine from the very beginning. The physique of a human medicine met the requirements to become a disciple of the Diamond Sect. The Diamond Sect seems like quite the oddity. The chairman by that Commander Tang mentioned, which organization is he from? Su Jingxing paid no more attention to Feng Taijian. Instead, his gaze fell on the old man, who had a grim expression on his face. This chairman Bai clearly harbored evil intentions when he tried to snatch him away. If it weren't for my appearance, he would have gotten his way. His name is Bai Qisen, and he's one of the vice-chairmans of the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce. Tang Lianyuan shared while coughing. The Tianlong Chamber of Commerce was one of the 3 major chambers of commerce in the Yu Nation. It had branches and companies in all 18 prefectures of the Yu Nation. Bai Qisen's realm as a third-grade martial artist wasn't the highest in the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce. There were 7 vice-chairmans in the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce. This meant that the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce had at least 7 third-grade martial artists. No one knew how many more were hidden, such as second-grade ones. Due to his powerful background, Tang Lianyuan had no choice but to urge him with soft words. By telling Su Jingxing Bai Qisen's identity, he was also giving him a heads-up. That he had better think twice before making a move on Bai Qisen. Su Jingxing was well aware of that. Come to think of it, without a powerful backer, would the old fellow Bai Qisen dare to abduct someone off the streets? No matter how tyrannical a third-grade martial artist was, experts from the Martial Suppression Office were there to suppress them. Even with the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce backing them, if they committed too many evil deeds and got caught red-handed, the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce wouldn't dare to shield them either. Compared to the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, the Martial Suppression Office was the Yu Nation's most powerful department. The head supervisor of the Martial Suppression Office was one of the few big shots in the world, a first-grade expert, and a member of the Yu Nation's cabinet. However, neither side would make a big deal out of it if unnecessary. The current situation was the best. Bai Qisen was the one who started it all. He was also the one to strike first. Now that Su Jingxing had wounded him, as long as he didn't continue, the matter would come to an end. Su Jingxing was more than happy to cooperate. He wasn't afraid of the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, but there was also no reason for him to provoke them. If he were to get into a conflict with such a behemoth, things could get tricky. Even if Su Jingxing was using the alias Jiang Zia. You can investigate the cause of this incident yourself. You'll be able to get a clear look from the security camera footage at the entrance of the hotel. Su Jingxing spoke calmly, I can do Commander Tang a favor regarding this matter, but I'm not sure about Chairman Bai. Huh, don't worry, Elder Jiang. I'll talk to Chairman Bai. I guarantee this matter will end here. Tang Lianyuan was overjoyed. Then, he looked at Gu Zhanlin and said, Old Gu, please entertain Elder Jiang. I'll go talk to Bai Qixin. Go ahead, go ahead. It's best to get Bai Qixin to be sensible. Gu Zhanlin waved his hand. He wasn't afraid of Bai Qixin. No matter how powerful the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce was, they wouldn't dare face off against the Chanyang Prefecture army. Elder Jiang, if Bai Qixin was smart, he would definitely cooperate. Comforted Gu Zhanlin. It's fine, replied Su Jingxing coolly. I'm fine if he doesn't cooperate too. Right. Gu Zhanlin shrugged, impressed by this Jiang Zia, who lived in seclusion in the woods. Ordinary third-grade martial artists would not dare to go up against the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce. Even though Bai Qixin couldn't represent the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, they wouldn't sit idly by if Jiang Zia really wanted to kill him. At that time, there would be great trouble. Still, it was admirable that Jiang Zia wasn't afraid of them at all. In fact, compared to Bai Qixin, Su Jingxing was more wary of Gu Zhanlin. The cloak and mask Su Jingxing wore this time was different from what he wore during the previous time when he met Gu Zhanlin. Yet Gu Zhanlin recognized him immediately when he arrived at the scene. What did this mean? This meant that Gu Zhanlin had committed his aura and vitality to memory. The ghost python breath-holding technique could only fully hide Su Jingxing's aura when he's not fighting. Once he made a move and released true energy, the effect would be greatly reduced. This was the incomplete reason. As such, Su Jingxing usually paid close attention to this. Yet, Gu Zhanlin remembered him just after one occasion. He became wary for some reason. The next time they met, he would try his best not to make a move unless it was necessary. Of course, he had to protect his identity well when the time came. Su Jingxing, Yang Jian, Guest Elder Lin, Jiang Zia. One true self and three aliases, it was impossible for anyone to associate them together. Feng Taijian would have connected the dots. The last time he was rescued, Li Linzhou had called Su Jingxing Guest Elder Lin. And now, Gu Zhanlin was addressing him as Elder Jiang. If Feng Taijian heard this, he would definitely be confused. Unfortunately, the Diamond King had been pestering him from the very beginning. He couldn't stop touching him, and Feng Taijian fell in a daze. By the time he came back to his senses, he was exclaiming in alarm, shouting out loud. How could he have the energy to listen to anything else? Senior! Senior! Don't do this! Don't do this! Ah! Senior! Senior! Save me! Save me! At times, Feng Taijian begged for mercy. At times, he begged Su Jingxing for help. Su Jingxing had no time for him. It was only a physical examination, not harassment. At this moment, Su Jingxing's attention was mostly on Bai Qixin. Tang Lianyuan was in the midst of a discussion with Bai Qixin to resolve the matter. Impossible. He injured me, there's no way I'm letting this rest just like that. I must take that kid with me. Bai Qixin's expression was stone-cold, showing no respect for Tang Lianyuan. Tang Lianyuan tried to persuade Bai Qixin multiple times in an attempt to eliminate the ill effects. However, Bai Qixin remained extremely stubborn. He was starting to get frustrated. Bai Qixin. Don't think you are something just because you are a vice-chairman of Tianlong and everyone is afraid of you. I'm trying to persuade you out of goodwill, not because I'm afraid of you. It's because I don't want to cause a huge commotion. If you want to pursue the matter, fine, I'll help you give the other party a heads up. With that, Tang Lianyuan turned around and shouted at the disheveled old man, who was still in a state of excitement. Senior Wu, this vice-chairman of Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, Bai Qisen, Chairman Bai said that he must take this young man away. What do you think? Boom! A gust of wind suddenly rose and swept past Bai Qisen. Thump! Bai Qisen was pushed to the ground, and pinned face down, unable to move an inch. Bai Qisen's face flushed red at once, and his eyes burned with shame and anger. A strong killing intent surged from the bottom of his heart, filling his bloodshot eyes. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break free from the terrifying pressure enveloping his body. Second grade. The person who dealt with him was a second grade. Bai Qisen was shocked and enraged. He opened his mouth and bellowed in a hoarse voice. Who is it? Thump. The ground shook, and the ground where Bai Qisen's head was caved in. A pit had formed, and cracks were all over the place. Bai Qisen's head had sunk into the hole, and half of his face was badly mangled. Ant. Amazing. Who did this? Which big shot did this? Cries of alarm rose from the distant spectators. Third-grade big shots were rare to begin with. Not to mention the shocking sight of the man being pinned down and his head being pressed into the ground. More importantly, the person doing this had done so from a distance away. Such a grand scene was enough to send waves of excitement through their veins. Even Su Jingxing was slightly taken aback. He was certain that the Diamond King was behind this, but the Diamond King had yet to manifest his martial art true intent and was able to suppress Bai Qisen with his purely own might. Such strength was truly astonishing. Bai Qisen was also a third-grade martial artist. Even though his martial art true intent had just been shattered by Su Jingxing, his mind, willpower, and soul had been severely damaged, it shouldn't have been to the point where he was completely helpless. Against the might of the Diamond King, he was like a dead fish that was at his mercy. This Diamond King is a second-grade martial artist. Su Jingxing could not help but ask Gu Zhanlin, feeling surprised. Not yet, but he doesn't fear second-grade martial artists either. Gu Zhanlin explained with a smile, the real name of the Diamond King is Wu Baoxiang. He was taken in as a disciple by the previous Diamond King when he was young and kept by his side. He cultivated the ultimate technique of the Diamond Sect, which has both powerful offensive and terrifying defensive power. This sort of martial art that blends offense and defense together has an exceptionally high demand for physical fitness. The Diamond King has been searching for years, but to no avail. Now that he has found one today, of course he wouldn't let him slip by. Bai Qisen is courting death. If he's still thinking of kidnapping the young man, Diamond King will show no mercy. Even though this senior Wu is only a third-grade martial artist, his battle prowess is on par with a second-grade martial artist. On top of that, his terrifying defense allows him to, no, almost every Diamond King has been invincible among third-grade martial artists. Elder Jiang was shocked earlier because the Diamond King's might was too powerful, yet his martial art true intent had not manifested, am I right? That's right, said Su Jingxing, nodding. Given how powerful the Diamond King's suppression is, could it be because the martial art he practiced is too outstanding? No. Gu Zhanlin shook his head and smiled. The ultimate technique of the Diamond Sect is indeed unique, but the reason why the diamond is so powerful is because he used his martial art true intent. Su Jingxing turned to look at Gu Zhanlin. TM not lying, Elder Jiang. Gu Zhanlin smiled. The Diamond King did release his martial art true intent earlier, but his is a little special and cannot be materialized. If you don't believe me, Elder Jiang, you can carefully sense the Diamond King's aura. Su Jingxing remained silent. He gathered his soul power and focused it on his eyes. His perception locked onto the Diamond King and inspected him closely. His pupils abruptly constricted. His physical body is the martial art true intent, exclaimed Su Jingxing. You got it right. Gu Zhanlin clapped his hands and sighed. All the martial art true intents of the Diamond Kings are their own bodies. It's said that once a Diamond King reaches the first grade, his physical body and martial art true intent will undergo miraculous changes. No one knows what these exact changes are. For the past 1,000 years, not a single Diamond King has achieved this. The highest that any one of them went was a second grade. The combat ability of a Diamond King who is in the second grade is still on par with a first grade martial artist. Therefore, for countless years, every Diamond King pursued the first grade. Yet, even without succeeding, they weren't upset. To them, advancing to the second grade is already a success. Su Jingxing remained silent. Deep down, however, he had this great enlightenment as if the clouds had been cleared and the sun was bright. His martial art true intent is his physical body. His martial art true intent is himself. That's right, why can't martial art true intent be a person? Not just a hand, a foot, or a head. But a complete body. Su Jingxing had always been at a loss as to what kind of martial art true intent to pursue. But at this moment, he knew. Self. He didn't want weapons, beasts, or anything else. The martial art true intent he wanted was himself. He wanted to create a complete version of himself from his previous life. Compared to the martial art true intent of other third-grade martial artists, condensing them required various forms of relaxation, deep meditation, and self-creation. There was no need to go through all that trouble to manifest his past self. Because he was it. He had clear memories as the template. At the thought of this, Su Jingxing's mind became clearer than ever. In an instant his soul power increased by quite a bit. In a more profound sense, Su Jingxing had achieved enlightenment. Su Jingxing now had a clear goal in mind. On the other side, his benefactor, the Diamond King, finally put down Feng Taijian and walked towards Bai Qixin, who was still sprawled on the ground. A chairman of the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, Bai Qixin. With every step the Diamond King, Wu Baoxiang, took, the pressure exerted on Bai Qixin intensified. Are you the one who's bent on taking my disciple away? Thump. Bai Qixin's head caved in again, throwing debris into the air. The other side of his face was also badly mutilated, and he was completely disfigured. T.M. Wu Baoxiang. If you want to take my disciple away, can you do the same with me? The Diamond King towered over Bai Qixin, who was stiff and covered in blood. The enraged Bai Qixin, who was filled with killing intent, froze upon hearing the name Wu Baoxiang. Then, like a deflated balloon, he began to shrink rapidly and deflate. So it's Sect Master Wu. I'm sorry, I only just recognized you. Bai Qixin began cautiously in a hoarse voice, I'm so ashamed, didn't know that young man was Sect Master Wu's disciple. I'm willing to offer compensation for my offense. Oh. Then what are you compensating me with? Asked Wu Baoxiang unhurriedly. Bai Qixin clenched his fists. While suppressing his rage, his mind was racing. Compensation was a must, otherwise, the matter wouldn't end well. Diamond King, Wu Baoxiang, a third-grade invincible expert. Even the chairman of the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, second-grade expert, was unwilling to provoke him. Bai Qixin all the more didn't dare to.